these. I'm like, I wonder who actually drinks these. And I knew my producer Dylan did, but well, there you go.
We have a lot more to get to right here and a lot more fun right here on Morning in America from myself, Nick, and Kelsey. It starts right now.
Great.
New this morning, responding to what looks like a war zone.
These cities are just not equipped to have this many people on the ground without food, medicine. There are children among this group.
The mayor of Eagle Pass, Texas, expecting illegal immigrant crossings to remain at record high levels all weekend, with thousands draining a system already stretched thin. Plus, one police department is thinking outside the box and outside the continental U.S. to address its staffing shortage.
We need to fill the gap of 400. Many people feel like there's crime going on that is unattended to.
Who they're looking to for new recruits. And do you live in one of America's best coffee cities? A freshly brewed list is out, and spoiler alert, Seattle is not in the top spot. And ahead of Friday Night Lights, a football player makes an amazing kick. The catch comes by way of a passing car. We'll have the replay. It's Morning in America.
From our NewsNation headquarters in America's Heartland, time for News for All America. I'm Adrienne Bankert.
And I'm Nick Smith in for Markie Martin. She has the day off.
That's right.
Getting a little bit of rest.
Yes, it's nice to sleep in every once in a while. Here's what we have for you on a Friday. Stephanie Haynes has the latest on the emergency declaration in Eagle Pass, Texas, as hundreds of migrants continue crossing the border.
And Kelsey Kernstein tells us about the $29 million contract the city of Chicago signed to build migrant camps.
Plus, Emily Finn is live near Detroit, where today's United Auto Workers strike deadline could expand walkouts to more plants, including right here in Chicago. We'll have those stories in just a few minutes. But first, the Pennsylvania prison where Daniello Cavalcante escaped last month plans to spend $3.5 million on security improvements. It includes fully enclosing 8 exercise yards, installing up to 75 more security cameras, and changing inmate uniforms to easily spot escapees. The prison initially upgraded some security measures after an inmate escaped before Cavalcante.
And the Justice Department says a contractor for the U.S. government has been arrested on espionage charges. He's accused of using an encrypted messaging application to send classified information to a foreign government. Prosecutors say he downloaded and printed it from his work computer system.
Glad they caught him. The nearly 500,000 people who lost Medicaid coverage are getting it back. This all comes as states reviewed eligibility for the first time in 3 years. Now, a number of them, including the District of Columbia, were assessing eligibility at the family level instead of at an individual basis. That's an error, leading to people deemed ineligible when they should have been automatically re-enrolled.
And that scared a lot of seniors, needless to say. Absolutely. Good to know that they're getting back on the rolls. Well, Oscar Mayer brought back its one-of-a-kind Wienermobile just 4 months after the name was changed to Frankmobile. Now, the company posting on Instagram saying, quote, "It's been a franktastic summer, but like you, we miss this wonderful icon." Get it? They're trying to put in all these puns. Now, the name change was meant to pay homage to the brand's 100% beef Franks and their new recipe.
I think they got complaints. I think people were like, don't call it the Frankmobile. Stop being politically correct.
Give us our Wienermobile, please.
We want the wiener back.
Yes.
All right. Well, this morning, an emergency declaration set to last until at least Tuesday as federal, state, and local officials struggle to deal with the surge of immigrants crossing into the United States from Mexico.
Yeah, this is a live look at Eagle Pass, Texas. It's quite right now, but this time Thursday, this area was packed with migrants. Now, according to the mayor of Eagle Pass, more than 2,400 migrants arrived in his city in one day alone, overwhelming residents and their resources. Now, both Texas Governor Greg Abbott and the White House are sending extra help. Stephanie Hayes is live this morning with more information. Stephanie, this has been a difficult situation for everyone on the ground in those communities and leadership.
So difficult, Nick and Adrienne. And you know what, as you said, quiet right now, but that could change at any second because this is the tricky part of the border. Officials are constantly overwhelmed. It's impossible to prepare. And everyone does seem to agree there needs to be some way to stop these illegal crossings between the ports of entry, but there hasn't been a viable solution.
The most recent surge of migrants is stoking panic along the U.S.-Mexico border once again. Video provided to NewsNation shows migrants riding on top of train cars as a fast track to the border. In Eagle Pass, Texas, migrants are crawling under barbed wire along the Rio Grande River. Dozens of them huddling under the bridge to Mexico, waiting to be processed. U.S. Customs and Border Protection announced it is suspending vehicle processing at Bridge 1 to free up officers to help take migrants into custody.
Cities are just not equipped to have this many people on the ground without being inside, without, food, medicine, all the things that you would need for large groups of people. There are children among this group.
Over the past few days, officials tell NewsNation a 3-year-old boy died after he was pulled from the river, and the next day, an adult male. The mayor of Eagle Pass issued an emergency declaration. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has deployed the state National Guard and DPS troopers.
We will have additional state troopers, National Guard, and we will start making arrests for state violations.
Guardsmen are installing more razor wire along the Rio Grande. The White House calls the governor's actions, quote, a political stunt, and says it has taken a number of actions, including deploying 800 new active duty personnel to the border, in addition to the 2,500 National Guardsmen, and vows to deal with the border in a humane, safe, and orderly manner.
This is an issue that's been around for decades. This is a broken immigration system. This is why the president on his first day put forth a comprehensive piece of legislation to try to deal with this immigration.
And another thing, Governor Greg Abbott tweeted out a video that appears to show federal agents cutting and removing that concertina wire along the Rio Grande. I reached out to Customs and Border Protection for a comment, Adrienne, but I have not heard back. Adrienne.
I think a lot of Americans are saying, what plan has the White House put in place? Exactly what? Thank you, Stephanie. After crossing into the U.S., most immigrants are processed and then released, making their way to large cities in hopes of finding more people from their home country who speak their language and hopefully finding some kind of work. Here in Chicago, for months, migrants have been in shelters or, unfortunately, because of overcrowding, inside of police stations, simply sleeping on the floor in lobbies. The city of Chicago shelling out millions of dollars on new winterized tent facilities. In the Windy City? Yeah. As Kelsey is reporting now, it's what comes with those tents that's raising some questions. Kelsey?
You know, Adrienne, there really are a lot of opinions about what is happening in Chicago right now. We know the new mayor announced plans to build tent cities for migrants about 2 weeks ago. But now we are learning that a more than $29 million contract was signed by the city to build these tent facilities. And what is being accommodated to these migrants under this new deal? Well, it's oftentimes not available to some Chicago residents.
My plan is to move with expediency families out of police stations into housing and shelter that's more suitable.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson bringing tent cities to the Windy City, where roughly 7,000 asylum seekers are spread out across nearly 24 temporary shelters. Last week, the mayor signed a deal with Garda World to build at least 6 new tent facilities. The contract, uncovered by NewsNation's Chicago affiliate, WGN, laid out what accommodations the company must provide. Each facility will hold between 250 and 1,400 asylum seekers. Garda World will also supply bedding, laundry, showers, 3 meals a day, and security. The contract also calls for several benefits that Chicago residents don't necessarily receive, including all-day childcare 7 days a week, as well as vans to take migrants to school, doctor appointments, and community resources.
We're only doing crisis to crisis. And I've said that this is not a game of whack-a-mole. This has to be a long-term, thought-out process.
The contract also requires temperatures inside the tents to be at least 70 degrees if the outside temperature hits 40 degrees.
I could only imagine what's going to happen trying to keep an outdoor tent warm in Chicago in the winter, when we know that single digits will be the norm come January and February.
A spokesperson for the city of Chicago telling NewsNation that this contract was signed in conjunction with the state's disaster proclamation to quickly move the nearly 1,500 migrants currently staying at police stations. But so far, it's still unclear where these facilities would be located and when they would open.
I just checked, and the city of Chicago is expected to spend more than $255 million caring for migrants by the end of the year. Nick?
Wow, Kelsey, this is definitely a story we will keep an eye on. We're just hours away from the deadline to expand strikes on Detroit's big three automakers. If there isn't an agreement by noon Eastern, thousands more workers across multiple facilities will strike. While the big three are feeling the pinch, small businesses in surrounding communities are also taking a punch, many of whom depend on workers walking through their doors as viability to their bottom line. Our Emily Finn is live in Wayne, Michigan with more. Emily, this is a situation that is tough for everyone involved, not only the union workers themselves, but surrounding businesses.
Absolutely, Nick. I mean, the ripple effects of this strike are being felt in every sector of the automotive industry, from suppliers to dealerships, but it's also having an impact on the local communities near these striking plants. We were just at a restaurant yesterday where we spoke to employees that say that the union workers are their regular customers. But since the work stoppage started, they haven't been seeing them in the restaurant, and it's taking a huge hit to their business.
We're like Cheers here, so we know everybody, and we're not getting anybody. Our booths are empty. They're usually not empty like this. We deliver to Fords all the time. We're hurting because they're hurting.
As the UAW workers at Wayne, Michigan's Ford assembly plants now enter week 2 of their strike against Detroit's big three automakers,
no bus, no truck.
Local businesses who rely on the union member customers to stay afloat are now taking a financial hit.
This is yours, 50 eggs.
Kayla Wendersky works at Nick's Coney Islands near the plant and says she's struggling in her own household with less cash coming in from her UAW regulars.
We're down 70% in sales, so it is a really big hit for us. And obviously that's not just from a business standpoint, that's from like a single mom standpoint. I also can't afford to feed my family off of that. So if you look around, our tables are pretty empty. We're usually really packed.
At the Tubs and Tumblers laundromat just down the road, Kelly Johnson says business has also lulled as union workers spend day and nights on the picket line.
We have customers that work at Ford's that are usually in here during the week, and I have not seen any of them. Yes, it's definitely has slowed down.
While the strike could cost more than an estimated $5 billion in economic losses if it reaches the 10-day mark, the impact on the local communities who support the union workers is often overlooked. Despite the toll it's taking on their business,
what can I get you today?
The employees we spoke to say they are fully behind the union workers. And they want to do everything they can to help them.
The whole family is Ford family. My boyfriend's Ford. The sooner they get what they deserve, the sooner we can all get back to work.
And we are just a matter of hours away from the new deadline for the UAW to be able to reach a deal with the big three, with Ford, GM, and Stellantis. That deadline is at noon today. And if they're not able to reach an agreement, even more workers are going to be joining in on the picket lines with the already almost 13,000 UAW members that are striking. The union's president, Shawn Fain, is going to be making an announcement at 10 a.m. today to update the union workers on where the negotiations stand. We'll be bringing our viewers the latest as soon as that announcement happens. Back to you, Adrienne and Nick.
All right, that's right here at 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern, and I know Chicago and its union workers are watching. Thank you, Emily. President Trump, while facing nearly 100 criminal charges, is doing what he's known best for, posting in shock jock style online about what's happening in Washington, this time ahead of next Saturday's deadline to keep the federal budget humming along. The former president saying the GOP should just let the government shut down as leverage, posting, quote, Republicans in Congress can and must defund all aspects of crooked Joe Biden's weaponized government that refuses to close the border and treats half the country as enemies of the state, end quote. Joining us right now, NewsNation political analyst Sean Spicer. Sean, of course, you famously served as President Trump's White House press secretary. Is he serious, or is he just talking smack?
Maybe a little of both, Adrienne. Good morning. I think the border part he's probably right on, and I think Republicans would be well served to focus on a message. I think most Americans, regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, especially after that report that you guys just did, see very clearly the problems at the border and could identify with that. And if the Republicans rallied around a single message saying until this administration focused on securing the border, we're not going to move forward with the rest of the Biden agenda, I think they could actually get support. I think the problem is that they don't have a singular message, and neither does President Trump. He's kind of adding some caveats into that about his particular situation.
But let's just say he does have a point about the border, and that's something Democrats and Republicans clearly see. Is it worth it? We've never had a government shutdown. The likelihood of it happening is slim. But at the cost of putting all these federal contracts and non-essential services at risk, do Republicans have leverage here that's true?
Well, with all due, we've had several shutdowns. I've been part of them myself. I mean, President Trump shut the government down. My first few years on Capitol Hill in the 90s, we had an epic shutdown during Newt Gingrich's time as Speaker of the House. So we have been through them. But I would argue that at some point, Republicans have to be willing to fight for something. The power of the purse comes via the Constitution to the House of Representatives first and foremost. And I think Republicans need to show that they're willing to use that power of the purse to get policy concessions in the best interest of the United States, our security, our prosperity. And so, you know, we've got to be careful how far we go. I would like to see them make sure that the Department of Defense, the Department of Homeland Security, and other essential services are funded. But I can tell you that there's a lot of ways that we can achieve that goal as well in terms of negotiations. The Biden administration hasn't come to the table yet, however. So we've got a few days left before we get to that. I would rather not see a government shutdown, to be clear on this. But Republicans need to speak with one voice in terms of what they want.
But, and you make a very good point. The shutdowns have happened, but at the same time, because of continuing resolutions, you know, the 16-day shutdown in 2013, we didn't see the world stop. And the DOJ has said in the past that a shutdown would not interrupt criminal proceedings, among other things. But there are some House Republicans that actually are talking about amendments to eliminate the funding for special counsel Jack Smith. That would be fascinating. Why are they, I mean, is that for real?
Well, they may want it, but look, the reality is Chuck Schumer and the Democrats control the Senate, and Joe Biden is the president. He's a Democrat in the White House. They'll never sign it. So, again, the question is, there are certain things that I think you can argue about that make sense. Securing the border is one of those that crosses and transcends party lines and ideology. I think that's worth fighting for. But if you're going to fight for things that you know in the end aren't even a starter, like they're not going to negotiate with you on Jack Smith. It's a non-starter for Chuck Smith and the Democrats in the Senate. Obviously, President Biden's not going to sign that. So I would fight on the areas where we can make significant change and progress and that most Americans would be with you on.
Let me ask you one question about the election, because I love to know what's going on in your mind right now. Okay, so the former president, he's skipping the next Republican debate like he did with the first one. In terms of the strategy, in terms of, you know, let me just continue on with my life because I don't need y'all, I'm the front runner. Do you see a dark horse appearing at any point between now and next year? And who would that person be?
It's a great question. It's a real, as we head into the weekend, that's the kind of cocktail conversation that so many people have. I don't. I mean, the reality is the rules of the Republican Party in terms of how you accumulate delegates, filing deadlines don't allow for that. The only way that you'd have, and it wouldn't be a dark horse, it's a horse that we know, would be as everybody dropped out before the early state primaries and rallied around one candidate. You know, Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, and that there was a one-on-one race. But that's not going to happen. So I think there's a lot of people that in this void of Trump doing debates want to talk about various scenarios. The rules just don't allow for that scenario to occur. There's a lot of talk about Glenn Youngkin, my governor here in Virginia. I think that the idea is that he would win the House of Delegates or hold the House of Delegates, win the Senate, be seen as this political hero to donors who would finance this wild win tour. He would have already missed 2 of the 4 early state deadlines. Virginia's deadline is December 13th. You need a campaign organization. Is it possible? Sure. But it's also possible that I win Powerball and Mega Millions this weekend. I just don't see it as being a likely scenario.
All right, Sean Spicer, enjoy your cocktail conversation this weekend.
Thank you, Adrienne.
Well, still ahead on Morning in America, the Pentagon is updating the country's nuclear arsenal. Some believe this could be a sign the U.S. is gearing up for a nuclear conflict. We'll discuss after the break.
Plus, bringing a different meaning to driving the ball. Watch this. This team might want to consider recruiting this guy as a wide receiver. We're going to bring you to the play and the details. Watch that ball just ahead.
Boom. Hey, take a look at that face. NewsNation Now with Connell McShane premieres on Monday. You met him here with Markie and me last week. Yeah, he's ready. He's the newest member to the NewsNation team. You can tune in to his show on Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern.
You have to say it with an accent. It's Connell McShane.
Connell McShane.
live from East Palestine, Tuesday at 8/7 Central on NewsNation.
A truck is a tool, but a Ram is life. It's the let's load up the ATV's life. The my kids play way too many sports life. The let's find a secret spot to fish life. Nice. Discover how Ram powers all the lives you live during Ram Power Days.
During Ram Power Days, get $4,000 retail consumer cash allowance on most 2023 Ram 1500 trucks. See your Ram dealer today.
This is not just online scheduling. This is vaccines made easy for those who've got plans.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Introducing new Starry Lemon Lime Soda. Music to my ears.
You don't have ears.
Starry, it's different.
With thyroid eye disease, I hid from the camera, and I wanted to hide from the world. For years, I thought my TED was beyond help. But then, I asked my doctor about Tepezza.
Tepezza is the only medicine that treats TED at the source, not just the symptoms. In a clinical study, more than 8 out of 10 patients taking Tepezza had less eye bulging. Tepezza is an infusion. Patients taking Tepezza may have infusion reactions. Tell your doctor right away if you experience high blood pressure, fast heartbeat, shortness of breath, or muscle pain. Before getting Tepezza, tell your doctor if you have diabetes, IBD, or are pregnant or planning to become pregnant. Tepezza may raise blood sugar even if you don't have diabetes and may worsen IBD such as Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis.
Now, I'm ready to be seen again.
Visit mytepezza.com to find a TED eye specialist and to see Bridget's before and after photos.
Hate to miss a minute of your favorite NewsNation shows when you're on the go? Well, now you don't have to. Because NewsNation live streaming audio is available 3 ways. On Amazon Echo.
Alexa, play NewsNation.
On Apple CarPlay.
You know, you can listen to NewsNation with Apple CarPlay.
Or on the NewsNation app.
Hey Siri, launch NewsNation.
NewsNation on the go. When you can't watch, listen.
The Defense Department is upgrading America's aging nuclear arsenal. The U.S. spending more than $750 billion replacing our aging nuclear defenses. Meanwhile, Reuters reports the Navy is overhauling its undersea surveillance network in an effort to counteract China's surging naval power. International law attorney David Tafuri served as foreign policy advisor to Barack Obama's 2008 presidential campaign and as the rule of law coordinator for the U.S. Embassy in Iraq during the George W. Bush administration. Quite the resume here. Let's get started with what's being called the most ambitious nuclear weapons undertaking since the Manhattan Project. Should we take this as the Pentagon preparing for a likely conflict?
No, I wouldn't say this means conflict is inevitable, but what it means is that the United States is waking up to the fact that China has built a huge naval fleet, that China is embarking on the most ambitious program to build its nuclear arsenal. And these are potential threats to the United States that we need to be on the lookout for. And so we need to update our surveillance systems. We need to update our readiness. We need to protect our territorial waters. And that's what the Navy is undertaking here, including revamping some of the systems that we had in place to monitor for submarines during the Cold War, as well as building up our own capability in terms of seaborne drones to monitor what China is doing.
You mentioned the Cold War. A lot of people have compared to the times we're living in now as kind of a precursor to the Cold War Part 2 with what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. And there are a lot of Americans who are saying it's about time for these upgrades. But legally, is the U.S. at any risk of violating the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty?
I don't think so. The Non-Proliferation Treaty mainly restricts new countries that don't currently have nuclear weapons from getting nuclear weapons. We do have, we still have some treaties in place with Russia, although most of those are falling away by the wayside. And so, we have the right to update our nuclear system, especially as China has embarked on this massive program to increase its nuclear arsenal.
And its Navy, especially. I guess we've undergone this integration of undersea surveillance and upgraded that as well. How will this protect the United States?
This is really interesting. So this is underwater cables that have acoustic capacity to monitor for submarines, and it's a system, the underwater cables combined with our own seaborne drones and also manned naval ships that are there for surveillance. It's mainly to protect our territorial waters. Territorial waters expand out 12 nautical miles, and we want to make sure that we are protecting that area, that there can't be incursions by China, whether it be its naval ships or its submarines. And this is particularly important given the balloons that China flew over the United States, surveillance balloons. And so we're also expecting that they're doing the same underwater, and we want to be prepared to protect any secrets that we have, to protect our country, protect our territorial waters, and also make it harder for China to be a threat to the United States and our territory.
Yeah, and any of those threats that might look like they have gone unnoticed, capturing them underwater. Thank you so much, David, for being with us. Ready at a moment's notice. That's what we need to be, as always. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And coming up this morning, living with your parents as a young adult is becoming more the norm. Ahead, why Gen Z is moving back home, and it seems to be working.
Yeah, we have a little bit of something for everybody today, talking about nuclear proliferation and Gen Zers moving back home. Oh, and also transparency about aliens. Again, a mixed bag on Morning America. This week's House Oversight Committee hearing on UFOs with NASA was closed to the public. The message this might be sending, coming up.
Plus, calling all coffee junkies. A newly brewed survey ranks the best cities to sip a cup of joe. Are you in the right place for your coffee addiction? We'll tell you. Coming up.
Ooh, yum. Seconds, huh?
I have moderate to severe Crohn's disease. Now there's Skyrizi.
I've got symptom relief. Control of my Crohn's means everything to me. Control is everything to me.
Feel significant symptom relief with Skyrizi, including less abdominal pain and fewer bowel movements at 4 weeks. Skyrizi is the first and only IL-23 inhibitor for Crohn's that can deliver both clinical remission and endoscopic improvement. The majority of people on Skyrizi achieve long-lasting remission at 1 year.
Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, had a vaccine, or plan to. Liver problems may occur in Crohn's disease.
Ask your gastroenterologist how you can take control of your Crohn's with Skyrizi.
Control is everything to me.
Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
Had enough? No, arthritis. Here, Aspirin arthritis. Huh. Full prescription strength. Reduces inflammation. Thank the gods. Don't thank them too soon.
Kick pain in the Aspirin.
Introducing New Starry Lemon Lime Soda. Music to my ears.
You don't have ears.
Starry, it's different.
Febreze. Hi, I keep my home fresh with Febreze Fade to Fight Plug.
And I use this.
Febreze has a microchip to digitally control how much scent is released so it doesn't fade.
Oh, does mine have a microchip?
Oh. Febreze smells first day fresh for 50 days.
That is a shockingly long time.
Febreze also has a refill reminder light.
It even reminds you to refill it?
So I never miss a day of freshness.
Your home is so fresh.
Upgrade to Febreze Plug.
If your vehicle isn't under warranty, it's almost like a ticking time bomb. Sooner or later, it's going to break down, and you'll be stuck with a repair bill that could blow up your budget. unless you have an auto protection plan from Everything Breaks. Our protection plans cover the expensive items that your auto insurance doesn't, like engine repairs, transmission, AC, computer systems, and more. Plus, our plans include 24/7 roadside assistance, free towing, free trip interruption, and free rental cars. Plans from other providers can cost between $100 to $200 per month. But with Everything Breaks, you can get the critical coverage that you need with plans starting at less than $1 a day. And if you call right now, your rates will be locked in, guaranteed. If your vehicle is out of warranty, call us now to get protected before it breaks down.
Call 1-800-374-4456, 1-800-374-4456.
Welcome back to News for All America.
Hey, let's go back to some of the stories we're talking about this morning in the mix. For the first time in more than a month, residents of Lahaina will be allowed into what authorities have called the burn zone. Law enforcement will be escorting them to whatever may be left of their homes and property starting next week. It's the first time anyone besides firefighters have been in that area in nearly 6 weeks. When deadly wildfires broke out back on August 8th, no one will be allowed to dig through the rubble. Local officials say this trip to let people see their properties and, quote, get some closure. Now, if you're a coffee lover, it turns out that the West Coast and Florida are the best places in the U.S. for you. Florida, wow, that throws me. I can understand the West Coast. Florida, seems a little warm there for coffee. The U.S., it says that this new study from Wallet Hub naming San Francisco and Portland as the two best coffee cities. I got it. With Seattle number 3, Orlando and Tampa close behind. The study looked at the number of coffee shops per capita to the average price for a cup of joe. In case you're wondering which city ranked at the bottom, sorry, Toledo. And talk about a 1 in a million chance. The field goal is up, good, and through. Did you see that? Yeah, went through the window of a passing car, right to the passenger's lap. Take a look at that. Again, bam. And right into that SUV. This happened in Waco, Texas. The woman who caught it is a former Baylor student who, ironically enough, was in town for the Bears football game against Long Island University last weekend. Yeah, that would have. I'm glad she didn't have like a coffee or something in her lap when that ball came flying.
I'm just thinking that would be a great memento. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Like, I probably would have gotten out of my car and be like, who's going to sign this?
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be worth some money one day.
Because one of you all are.
One of y'all are going to go far, yeah.
Absolutely. Listen, when young adults finish college, the next big step is usually moving out of their parents' home and getting a place of their own. Some may call it adulting, right? Well, according to statistics, some have decided to stay put. 23 million, or 45% of young adults ages 18 to 25 live with their parents. Blame it on COVID-19, recession, and inflation, to name a few. And who's judging? No one, apparently, because 90% of adults surveyed by Bloomberg say people moving back home are saving up and getting ahead. And it's smart. Let's bring in Peter Dunn, CEO of Your Money Line and syndicated radio host, to offer perspective on this topic, because one of the things Adrienne and I were saying is we couldn't wait to move out. Possibly some people go back home.
Reason we're moving back home to save money, and given the cost of college, given the cost of housing and healthcare and slow wage growth, that makes sense. And the second one's even more altruistic than that. It's to take care of mom and dad. So, who are we to judge? Because those are pretty good darn reasons.
Yeah, Peter, I think that if we're talking about different factors weighing into it, I think age is one that we can also say. I don't know that at my advanced age, moving back home with mom would be the smartest thing for either one of us. I think that somebody would be choked to death, and probably me, because it's still my mama's house. But is living with mom or dad the new normal? And I guess that's the question I'm asking. And what makes this experience successful for some young adults?
I think that we've had this on-ramp to this idea with a couple different factors here. Kids are getting their driver's license later than they used to. You see the reports about people getting married or even dating later than they used to. And then I think there's this idea that parents, since they're helping out with college education so much, even in the forms of Parent Plus loans, that to your point, I think culturally we're sort of getting here. It used to be this way. We're at the highest rate since the 1940s with people living at home. And so I would think, at least for a generation, this is the new normal. And part of that is the Gen X parents, or arguably young boomer parents, accepting this as reality as well.
You know, we were talking about saving money, Peter. You know, we talk about financial nihilism or rejecting how one should spend or save money, impacting how young adults are actually living these days. Is the idea of saving money one of the reasons, too, how young adults should be looking at this?
Absolutely. Gen Z is incredibly resourceful and very financially responsible. I think that's the moment here. It's like, hey, living at home is financially responsible, and this generation wants the best for themselves, but they do reject the fact that they should own a home. They do reject the fact that they should do things conventionally. And I guess I support it. No one cares whether I support it or not, let's be honest, but it makes some sense.
Peter, one last question for you before I run out of time. When we talk about financially and saving money, and what exactly makes sense? To stay with your family and invest in a home, pay off that college debt, or should you be doing something else while you have that time to have that financial cushion?
You've got to do something extreme, no matter what it is. I would say at least a third of your income, if you're living with mom and dad, has to go to something big. And I don't mean something fun. I mean paying off your student loans, putting money in a savings account or something like that. Because if you don't put at least a third, probably more, probably 40%, you will never move out, because you will not have the ability to create that financial independence, at least 40%.
And we've talked with you before about how just saving a little bit now, down the road, what it could mean in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Peter Dunn, once again, thank you so much for breaking it down. And I am no longer going to be one of those people shaming those who choose to move back home with their parents.
Brilliant.
Ain't no shame.
Ain't no shame.
No judgment.
None.
Just pay your mom and daddy rent.
Pay that rent.
The Department of Education wants to crack down on legacy admissions. Colleges giving preference to the children of alumni and donors. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona saying this week he'd look at, quote, pulling whatever levers he can, especially if we're giving out financial aid and loans, that we're doing it for institutions that are providing value. The federal government oversees billions of dollars that goes to colleges and universities. And the legacies have come under more scrutiny after the Supreme Court ruled in June admissions considering race were unlawful. A lot of Americans agreeing with that. Over half the country actually agreeing that affirmative action is outdated. We'll have more to come on Morning in America. Police departments are ramping up recruiting efforts as shortages grow. Ahead, how some are getting more creative, even going outside of the U.S. for that recruitment.
Yeah, to fill those empty spots. And if you don't have the NewsNation app, just open your camera on your smartphone and you can scan that QR code right there at the bottom of your screen. We want you to connect with us. Connect with us there. Connect with us on X, formerly known as Twitter. Connect with us on Instagram at NewsNation AM and on Facebook. We'd love to have you be part of the conversation. Ooh, we need your input.
Living with metastatic breast cancer means I cherish my memories. But I don't just look back on them. I look forward to the chance to make new ones every day with Verzenio.
Verzenio is proven to help you live significantly longer when taken with fulvestrant. Verzenio plus fulvestrant is for HR-positive, HER2-negative metastatic breast cancer that has progressed after hormone therapy. Diarrhea is common, may be severe, or cause dehydration or infection. At the first sign, call your doctor, start an antidiarrheal, and drink fluids. Before taking Verzenio, tell your doctor about any fever, chills, or other signs of infection. Verzenio may cause low white blood cell counts, which may cause serious infection that can lead to death. Life-threatening lung inflammation can occur. Tell your doctor about any new or worsening trouble breathing, cough, or chest pain. Serious liver problems can happen. Symptoms include fatigue, appetite loss, stomach pain, and bleeding or bruising. Blood clots that can lead to death have occurred. Tell your doctor if you have pain or swelling in your arms or legs, shortness of breath, chest pain, and rapid breathing or heart rate, or if you are nursing, pregnant, or plan to be.
I'm making future memories every day with Verzenio.
Ask your doctor about everyday Verzenio.
My most important kitchen tool? My brain. So I choose new Nariva Ultra. Unlike some others, it supports 7 brain health indicators, including mental alertness, from 1 serving to help keep me sharp. Try new Nariva Ultra. Think bigger.
Liberty Mutual customized my car insurance, and I saved hundreds. With the money I saved, I started a dog walking business. I was a bit nervous at first, but then I figured, it's just walking, right? Oh. No, it's just a bunny! Calm down, Taco. That just, stop. Sesame, no. Walter, don't. No, please. You're lucky you're so cute. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
I've always been prone to hair thinning.
I was getting older.
I was under a lot of stress.
I started taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement.
I am back to me.
Start your hair growth journey at Nutrafol.com.
You didn't live this strong, this long, to get put on the shelf like a porcelain doll. If you have postmenopausal osteoporosis and are at high risk for fracture, you can build new bone with Evenity. Ask your doctor if you can do more than just slowing down bone loss with Evenity. Want stronger bones? Then build new bone. Evenity can help in just 12 months. Evenity is proven to reduce spine fracture risk by 73%.
Evenity can increase risk of heart attack, stroke, or death from a cardiovascular problem. Do not take Evenity if you have low blood calcium or are allergic to it. Serious allergic reactions and low blood calcium have occurred. Tell your doctor about jawbone problems, as they have been reported with Evenity, or about pain in your hip, groin, or thigh, as unusual thigh bone fractures have occurred.
Don't let a break put you on a shelf. Talk to your doctor about building new bone with Evenity.
I won't let my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis symptoms define me.
Emerge as you. With Tremfya, most people saw 90% clearer skin at 4 months, and the majority stayed clearer at 5 years.
Serious allergic reactions may occur. Tremfya may increase your risk of infections and lower your ability to fight them. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, or if you had a vaccine or plan to.
Emerge as you. Emerge Tremfyant. Ask your doctor about Tremfya.
Welcome back. This is a tough one, finding qualified men and women to fill open positions. It's a problem police departments across the country are facing right now. Many are overworked and understaffed.
I mean, it's a lot of departments, a lot of governmental agencies. As a result, though, at police departments, they're going to great lengths to fill all those open officer positions, including going outside of the U.S. to recruit people. NewsNation's Evan Lambert explains.
Police departments across the country are struggling to recruit officers, many saying they are down those important positions, and it's coming especially when some cities are dealing with upticks in crime. One Maryland police department is going the distance in recruiting all the way to Puerto Rico. Prince George's County, Maryland, has a diverse population with many Spanish speakers, so that's one reason they're going some 1,500 plus miles from the D.C. area to San Juan to find officers. The other is like other departments, they just cannot fill officer positions like they want to. The county just outside of D.C. is down more than 300 police officers, according to county government sources. And just this week, a bill for another incentive may help even more. It would offer a $2,500 property tax credit if officers move into the county.
We really need to recruit. We need to fill the gap of 400, because what's happening is that as crime is rising in across the country nationally, and it's rising in the region, many people feel like there's crime going on that is unattended to.
The Puerto Rico idea is something that we hope we can bring people to the department that have ties to the Hispanic community. We have a lot of officers that already are on the department that are from Puerto Rican descent and other, obviously, Hispanic communities.
Across the country, police departments getting desperate. D.C. recently upping its officer signing bonus to $25,000. In San Francisco, the department is looking for officers on Texas college campuses. And in Covington, Kentucky, that city is offering retired officers a chance to come back for one-year contracts. And in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis is using politics to lure officers from other states. He's been critical of policies he calls weak on crime, like ending cash bail, so specifically going after officers from Illinois and offering out-of-state officers signing bonuses. Adrienne.
All right, our thanks to Evan Lambert. Ahead this morning, Captain Nicholas Collins with Prince George's County, Maryland, that department. He'll come on to discuss this new recruitment strategy.
Yeah, it will be good to hear from him. And still ahead this morning, a twist in the murder trial of a Hollywood sex therapist. The surprise move by the defense as they rested their case.
Meet the future. A chef, a designer, and ooh, an engineer. All learning to save and spend their money with Chase. The chef's cooking up first with her new debit card.
Hungry?
Uh-huh. The designer's eyeing sequins, no, plaid. While mom is eyeing his spending. Nice. And the engineer? She's taking control with her own account for college. 3 futures, all with Chase. Freedom for kids, control for parents. One bank for both. Chase, make more of what's yours.
If your thyroid eye disease was diagnosed a long, long time ago, you may think your eyes will be bulging forever. Like a never-ending curse that can't be broken. But even if you've been told it's too late, treating your thyroid eye disease may still be possible, and a new day is within sight. Learn how you could give your eyes a fresh start at stilltreatted.com.
A truck is a tool, but a Ram is life. It's the let's load up the ATV's life. The my kids play way too many sports life. The let's find a secret spot to fish life. Nice. Discover how Ram powers all the lives you live during Ram Power Days.
During Ram Power Days, get 4,000 retail consumer cash allowance on most 2023 Ram 1500 trucks. See your Ram dealer today.
Your brain is an amazing thing, but as you get older, it naturally begins to change, causing a lack of sharpness or even trouble with recall. Thankfully, the breakthrough in Prevagen helps your brain and actually improves memory. The secret is an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish. In clinical trials, Prevagen has been shown to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription.
Doors lead us to places we've never been. Your dedicated Fidelity advisor can help you open those doors. They can help you create a retirement income plan designed to balance growth and guaranteed income, and provide access to specialists who help with estate planning to look out for future generations. So you're not just growing and protecting your wealth, you're sharing it. Because doors were meant to be opened.
Have you heard? Sling TV offers the news you love for less. Wait, you look and sound just like me. Actually, I am you. Because I'm the same news programs on Sling for less. You mean you're me, but for less money? A lot less. I'm all your favorite news programs and more on Sling, starting at just $40 a month. Everything great about me, but for less money, which makes me greater, don't you think? It's the same news for less, starting at $40 a month.
If your vehicle isn't under warranty, it's almost like a ticking time bomb. Sooner or later, it's going to break down, and you'll be stuck with a repair bill that could blow up your budget. Unless you have an auto protection plan from Everything Breaks. Our protection plans cover the expensive items that your auto insurance doesn't, like engine repairs, transmission, AC, computer systems, and more. Plus, our plans include 24/7 roadside assistance, free towing, free trip interruption, and free rental cars. Plans from other providers can cost between $100 to $200 per month. But with Everything Breaks, you can get the critical coverage that you need with plans starting at less than $1 a day. And if you call right now, your rates will be locked in, guaranteed. If your vehicle is out of warranty, call us now to get protected before it breaks down.
Call 1-800-374-4456, 1-800-374-4456.
Welcome back. A surprise move in the murder trial of Hollywood sex therapist Amy Harwick.
Yeah, lawyers for accused murderer Gareth Pursehouse rested their case without calling a single witness. Pursehouse is accused of strangling Harwick and throwing her off a balcony in 2020. Brian Inton filling in on CUOMO Thursday night, speaking with Harwick's best friend and one of the last people to see her alive.
Were you surprised? I mean, did you think they were going to present a case?
Yeah, I was shocked. I definitely thought they were going to present something. I know that
the angle they were leaning towards was completely different from what they postulated during the preliminary hearing that I also testified in. But when they didn't present a case, I was shocked. I think everyone was shocked.
Your testimony, Robert, was so emotional during the trial. Amy came to you and told you how scared she was of Purse House, that they had seen each other on the red carpet. Did you tell her to go to police? I mean, I think a lot of people are wondering, like, did she try to get a restraining order? What was your advice to her?
Well, I did ask her if she was going to get a restraining order, as I know she had done so in the past. But she didn't think it was going to be worth doing because there were no direct threats. So he didn't actually directly threaten her. So she knew, based on how it works when you get a restraining order, if they don't come out and directly threaten you, it's actually very difficult to get one. But also restraining orders are for people who have something to lose, because obviously in this case, like, you know, killing someone or whatever is already illegal. So.
This story, I mean, it's so dark. Watch CUOMO tonight, starting at 8/7 Central.
And coming up next, President Biden and Norfolk Southern announcing new plans to make things right after that toxic train derailment in Ohio. We hear from a resident about the plans and if they will really help their situation.
He got a pilot at our house and he says he got ejected. So he ejected from the plane. So we just see if we could get some ambulance, please.
Okay, so that is a 911 call that you're listening to of a homeowner who discovered the pilot who ejected from that missing fighter jet landed in his backyard. We're going to hear more from that 911 call and learn about the moments after the pilot bailed out.
And we know you probably have to leave the house at some point. We know that, but don't worry. You don't have to miss a minute of Morning in America. You know why? Because now you can take us with you on the go. All you have to do is download that app, click, listen, and Adrienne and I will be in the back seat of the car riding with you to work.
We're going to be the back seat.
Back seat, just...
We're not going to be back seat drivers, though.
Not at all.
Just please stop at Starbucks.
Hey.
Sometimes the lows of bipolar depression feel darkest before dawn. With Caplyta, there's a chance to let in the light. Caplyta is proven to deliver significant relief across bipolar depression. Unlike some medicines that only treat bipolar 1, Caplyta treats both bipolar 1 and 2 depression. And in clinical trials, movement disorders and weight gain were not common.
Call your doctor about sudden mood changes, behaviors, or suicidal thoughts. Antidepressants may increase these risks in young adults. Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Report fever, confusion, stiff, or uncontrollable muscle movements, which may be life-threatening or permanent. These aren't all the serious side effects.
Caplyta can help you let in the light. Ask your doctor about Caplyta. Find savings and support at caplyta.com.
Internet without trackers. Without malware-ridden files. Zen. Be more cyber zen. Get NordVPN.
I used to think all doctors were the same. Then I switched to Oak Street Health. You see, this isn't your typical doctor's office. Instead of waiting around for me to get sick, they focus on keeping me healthy and feeling good. Hey, still got it.
Zion, no sugar, right?
And the best part, everyone at Oak Street Health is experienced with people my age.
At Oak Street Health, we specialize in caring for older adults like you with a focus on keeping you healthy. So don't wait. Call today.
Zion, we're ready for you.
Here people get to know me the old-fashioned way.
By listening.
This guy takes all the notes, so my doctor is all eyes on me, and I'm never rushed out.
Ready to go?
We get to know you better with longer appointment times, including same-day and next-day appointments.
Everyone gets their own personal care team. Hey, whether it's doctors, nurses, social workers, mental health support, even someone to help me understand my Medicare benefits. They all work together for me, myself, and I. Not to mention a 24/7 patient support line.
We customized a plan for him, and we can do the same for you.
Getting the care you need has never been easier because our team members work together to handle all your healthcare needs.
And you get all this with no extra cost. They even gather all your medical records and health history. So switching to their doctors is easy. And you can keep living your life your way.
At Oak Street Health, we specialize in caring for older adults like you. Call 800-637-1959 to schedule a visit and see why we are the only primary care provider to carry the AARP name. Oak Street Health.
This is not just a shot. This is wellness made easy for those who've got plans. Get your flu shot and other vaccines in one trip. Schedule online today.
The historical drama The Chosen, airing Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern on the CW, has been the hit of the season so far. It's the most watched show right now on the CW. For 3 seasons, the show has sent a shockwave through Hollywood, hitting over 100 million streams around the world, with stories of faith that are growing in popularity, stories based on the Bible. Before the actors and writers strikes, I sat down exclusively with the actor who plays Jesus, Jonathan Roumie. This show is all about a different depiction of Jesus than maybe the world has ever seen. Do you feel responsible for making sure that that real image of Jesus is known?
I feel responsible to show up and give everything that I have to this role. And then what God does with it is up to him. Yeah, I have to just continue to participate and let him lead. And as long as I do that, everything is beyond my comprehension and better than I could have ever thought through it myself.
I have to say, sitting down with him, you kind of feel like, oh my God, he's not Jesus Christ, but he's embodied the character so much, this historical figure, and he takes it very seriously, a very devout Catholic himself. This Sunday on NewsNation, watch more of my exclusive interviews with the cast and crew. Tune in at 9 p.m. Eastern right here on NewsNation. And just to be clear, I mean, most of the cast is agnostic. They don't even have faith, but they're working on this project, and they say they're so proud to tell stories that are enlightening and also inspiring, too, at a time when a lot of shows are kind of dark.
And they're doing it in a way that still respects and shows reverence to those who do.
Yeah.
Love that.
There's something for everybody. Yeah. Well, we've had a lot going on here on Morning in America, let me tell you. From the UAW strike, we're expecting a big announcement on the union strike there with the auto workers. And then it was National Cheeseburger Day. We had a lot of dancing going on with Nick.
I can't wait to see it again.
You were running around as well. We don't want you to miss a thing, but in case you did, here's just a taste of the fun.
I don't know the words except for the 21st of September.
Never was a cloudy day.
How in the world does an $80 million fighter jet just go missing out of thin air?
The Marines are really taking a hard look at this and trying to figure out what happened.
Adrienne and Markie will be out here all morning speaking with union workers, bringing you guys the latest. I hope you brought your appetite this morning because today is National Cheeseburger Day. We're going to host Chicago's footwork and grill master himself.
DJ, hit that music so we can do some footworking up in here.
It goes through something called unanimous consent. Tuberville has been holding that up as any individual senator can in protest.
True or false, you should eat more bread and pasta to lose weight and build muscle.
We're going to Olive Garden, it's true.
Oklahoma City University is offering a new program that is cutting the time it would take to earn a nursing degree.
The supposed alien corpses have one single skeleton. All I know is that if you are allergic to any of its chemicals, you can return it to Target.
New data from the Pew Research Center shows trust in government is at an all-time low.
Do you have any weird combos?
No, I'm pretty basic.
Yeah, mayo on hot dogs.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
What?
Okay.
Even Markie, at her young age, has probably moved, what, like 4 or 5 times, right?
How old do you think I am?
Markie's only 17.
Let me grab my dog real quick. Come here, Addison. This is what happens when you broadcast in your basement.
And you sit there and I look at these, I'm like, I wonder who actually drinks these. And I knew my producer Dylan did, but well, there you go. I learned about acai this week.
I love those drinks. They're so tasty.
The Starbucks refreshers.
Yes.
Well, hopefully you can get one this weekend. I think a lot of people are going to be enjoying a nice drink, maybe by the pool in these last days of warmer weather. Thanks so much for being with us all week long, and we're going to, of course, do it the rest of this morning. We've got a few more hours, maybe 2, right here on Morning in America right now. New this morning, as the United Auto Workers strike continues, workers are preparing to expand the picket lines to new plants belonging to Ford, GM, and Stellantis.
Well, we'll take as long as we have to.